Hey, this is Ree here. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate all of you. All thanks to Callie Ma. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. It really helps me a lot. Don't forget to check out my website, paradoxastrology.com. Book your consultation today. I can help you with anything. And if you would like more exclusive occult videos that I don't post on YouTube, consider subscribing to my Patreon. It also helps to support this channel. Okay, just a quick video because I briefly talked about this on Instagram in my story, but I just wanted to talk about when you start studying astrology, you're learning and it's cool and you find you can predict things for your friends and your friends are amazed and you get better at it and you just want to tell everybody everything about themselves. It's really fun at first, but then you're going to get to different parts, and as you go deeper into this knowledge, there becomes moral dilemmas. These moral dilemmas will pop up as your knowledge increases and your ability to see things. Now, you're going to eventually have everyone's chart that you know, that you love, in your head memorized. It's just a natural thing that will happen. And then, if you get to the point that you're predicting, you're going to know all the transits. All the transits are going to be in your head. You're going to look at years ahead, especially if you make videos like I do. I go and I look at all the transits for the year and I already write all of that down and I made a video for you guys. So it's all stuck in my head. Then it gets to a point that because you have all this in your head, you're going to now see things that you don't want to see. This is why most astrologers stop and people will clown on them to say that they don't have a deep knowledge. But we should actually be more compassionate and realize that the deeper you go, the more you're going to see things that are going to trouble you. You're going to accidentally see things. Now, I'll give you an example because curiosity will get the best of you. So an example of that is I know when I'm going to die and around what age. There is nothing that's 100% certain, but there are certain techniques that can give you an idea. And just an idea of that can really shake a person up, being able to know that. And yes, you can change these things. Definitely, when it comes to spiritual practice, you can change those things, but that takes a lot of spiritual practice. I'm on that path, so I do see that this will be something to change. But say if you're not, this can disturb somebody. This can be very disturbing. This can alter your entire life. Now, what happens if you're looking at the transits and you come across, okay, Saturn's going to be in this nakshatra, and you remember that someone you love has some planets there and maybe it's in a very crucial spot. You accidentally see something horrible that may happen to them. What do? Now, you can't tell them because you're going to ruin their life. And a lot of times this is fixed karma. So there's nothing we can do about it. Yes, there's ways to change the future, but the majority of people are not doing the practices in order to do that. I have been able to change things through spiritual practice, but I remind you, I do spiritual practice for at least 3 hours a day, 3 to 4 hours. And that's still iffy for me doing that. So someone who doesn't do spiritual practice or does a small meditation for 20 minutes can't change anything, okay? They can change their mindset, but they can't change the transits. That's a whole other thing. You have to awaken yourself. This is very intense. And then that's a whole other thing because that affects your ego. So say you see this, it's going to change you. So you have to really ask yourself, is this knowledge I want to know? Am I ready for it? This is why in Vedic astrology, you have to do spiritual practice. You have to calm your ego down because you can't let your ego go and ruin other people's lives because you can't handle your emotions. This also comes into play with clients. You're going to accidentally see things that you didn't want to see. And then a moral dilemma pops up. Say they come for a reading and they just want a nice reading. They just want to hear more about themselves. And you are able to see too much and you see something coming down the line. Remember, nothing's 100% either, but there are techniques where you can see, yeah, this is going to be a very difficult time for this person. And if they didn't ask you, warning them won't help change it. You can't tell them because it's going to ruin their life. So what if you tell them and it doesn't happen? You just ruined, those months or that year or those days. You just ruined because that's all they thought about. Or say it does happen. They didn't get to enjoy that time until it happened. They just were worried about it and then it happened. So it still ruined their life. It's a big dilemma, and that's not talked about a lot at all that I've seen. And this is why you have to do spiritual practice, because especially if you have parents, obviously your parents are a lot older than you. So just by knowing the dashas, they're very simple techniques that I've accidentally come across things about my dad, how long my dad will live. It's not stuff that you search for. You just accidentally see it when you have the ability to see things very quickly. That has kept me up at night. And that's another reason why I do spiritual practice. Because then you realize that you have too much attachment to this world. And that's how you use this to empower yourself and realize what your attachments are and what you need to work on in yourself. Because ultimately, everybody is going to lose somebody in this lifetime. That's just a fact. That's life. Your parents are supposed to die before you. And some of us, our parents, like my mom died when I was 21. So some of us outlive our parents. A lot of us, our parents are going to die before us. And we don't like to think about that. But imagine if you could see that. These are the dilemmas that come in. You're able to see that with everybody that you love. Now what? This is why you have to do spiritual practice, because then you can give it all to God, to Mahadev, and whatever that may be, whoever that may be that you worship. You can put that trust in them and understand that you are never alone. Understand that this is just one of your lifetimes that you're going to go through. But that is the dilemma that comes in when you start doing astrology, like real astrology, not just, sun signs. So when you do this and you look into this knowledge and you keep going deeper, just be ready. Do your spiritual practice, because your ego is going to freak out and then it will ruin your life. You have to really understand what this universe is about. People say, I'm not scared to die, I can handle it, and stuff like that. That's what you say now. But we all have attachments. My ego is still there, even though I do a lot of spiritual practice. My ego is still there. We all have ego. You have to understand, even the most enlightened yogis, a lot of them get corrupted by their own ego when they have power like this. When they have supernatural cities, supernatural powers, it corrupts them. It doesn't matter how enlightened you are, it corrupts them. It's very few that don't get corrupted by this. So we have to be realistic when we look at what the ego can do. Because your ego can freak out, start crying, be upset, and then tell somebody because you can't handle keeping this to yourself. This is why you need a relationship with God, so you can talk to God about the things you can't talk to humans about. And it's not just you're going to be talking to yourself like in an Abrahamic religion where you're just talking to the sky. No. You're literally going to be able to talk to deities if you do the right practices. They will talk back. They will tell you things in your dreams. They will tell you things in your meditation. They'll give you aha moments, and you'll dissolve the ego so that the ego does not freak out over these things. Because at the end of the day, you are an immortal being, and so is everyone else around you. So you never lose anybody. But when we lose someone in flesh, we think they're gone. Whether we know this intellectually or not, it still affects us. So that is just one of the things that you have to deal with if you want to study astrology at the deepest levels that nobody talks about. Always have integrity and always put other people ahead of yourself, ahead of your own emotions. It's very, very important karmic-wise to not ruin someone's life because you freaked out. So that's just a little short video. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one.